Pelican Bay's Jim Dagenais showed us a display of prison-made weapons.
Oh, yes. Since August of 2002, we've confiscated about 1,258 weapons.
Well, show us some of the more incredible ones, because they all look incredible to me.
Inside of a shoe cell, they have the metal frame door, the embedded metal. This here was cut right out of the door, and this is a real recent discovery. The particular inmate that did this, he makes one of these about once a month.
I hear that some of these guys can actually make handcuff keys.
Oh, in the security housing unit, all the gang members know how to make handcuff keys. This particular handcuff key here,
Look at that.
this was manufactured from an inhaler, just the metal part of an inhaler, and they shaped it into a handcuff key.
And that would unlock a
Oh,
handcuff.
definitely.
Once again, it's Gabe Morales with Gangsters, Cops, and Politicians. We had a little problem today with our Zoom session, so we did it a little different way. You guys don't want to see my ugly mug anyway, so I'm going to put a still picture up of myself when I speak, which is very briefly, hopefully. We have a special guest today. He is a fellow Marine, Semper Fi. He has a very long and illustrious career. Today we have Jim Dagenais. How are you doing, Jim?
Gabe, it's an honor to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us. You're halfway across the world right now. We'll talk a little bit about that, how you got there, and some of the other places you've been around the world. So, can you tell us, Jim, where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in Chicago, and I grew up on the south side of Chicago in northwest Indiana. Well, I was born in 1943. So I lived in Chicago on the south side until I was in sixth grade when we had to move. We had moved three times because the neighborhoods would go bad on us, you know. But the last neighborhood I lived in was 63rd and Stony Island. And I think it was around 1959 or 1960. That's where the Peastone Nation and the Blackstone Rangers formed in that neighborhood. So that's why we left.
And so then, where did you go after that?
Well, we were to northwest Indiana, the town called Hammond, and then Hobart, which is just south of Gary, Indiana.
Okay. And is that where you went to high school?
Yeah, in Hobart. And I graduated in 1961, and that's when I joined the Marine Corps.
Hoorah. All right. So then, tell us a little bit about your military career during the 1960s. Did you go to Vietnam?
No, I got out of the Marine Corps before they didn't really go there until 1965. Well, they were Senate advisors there, and actually, when I was on Okinawa, I put in for that, but my lieutenant told me I'd have to extend my enlistment for another year, and I didn't see the reason to do that, so I got out in 1964.
Gotcha. And then what did you do after that?
Well, I went back home, and my plan was to go down to New Orleans and ship out as a merchant seaman. And when my dad asked me, he said, "What are you going to do?" And I told him that, and he says, "No, don't do that." He says, "I'm going to get you on as an iron worker." Well, I knew what iron workers did, and I wasn't really enthusiastic about doing that, but I did it. And it just happened that that was the biggest boom period in the history of Gary, Indiana. And when I joined the iron workers, it was about a month after I got out of the Marine Corps. I showed up on the job, and I started as an apprentice. And I thought, well, they won't have me go up in the air right away. But right before starting time, the general foreman came down and he said, "Are you afraid of heights?" And I told him, I said, I'm not afraid of anything, which was a lie because my knees started shaking. He told me, he said, "All right," he says, "you go up there and do what those guys tell you to do. And don't worry about being an apprentice. We're going to pay you iron worker scale." And that's what I did. And it took about 5 weeks to get used to working up in the air on the iron. And it's a funny thing. What happens is it's addicting. once you get used to it, it's actually you get an incredible adrenaline rush, and I ended up doing that for 25 years.
And then what'd you do after that career?
Well, that's when I started thinking about. I was getting older. I was already in my 40s, and I was living out in Las Vegas at the time. And I tried to get on Metro Police, and I was running into a brick wall on that one. I didn't have the prior law enforcement experience. I was already in my 40s. And anyway, I was hitting a brick wall, and a friend of mine, it was a cop in Las Vegas, he suggested that I applied to the California Department of Corrections. And I told him, I said, I had no interest in being a prison guard. And he told me, he said, it's not what you think. He said, there's a lot of opportunities there and they are hiring. So I looked into it, and he was right. I saw there was a lot of opportunities. And I then I read an article in the Las Vegas paper where they were building this prison called Pelican Bay State Prison in Crescent City that was going to house California's most dangerous inmates, and that I thought that's for me, and so I applied, and anyway, they ended up sending me to Susanville, the California Correctional Center, and I worked there for about 10 months, and then in July of '90, I transferred to Pelican Bay State Prison.
Right. And the rest is history. Well, you're a legend there.
Yeah,
I think in my last video I gave you a promotion. You said you didn't know you had been promoted to sergeant, but I guess
yeah.
I thought that because I knew you were a little bit older than a lot of the guys and you had a lot of respect. I think you were a born leader anyways, and they really looked up to you. I know that people say nothing but good things about you there for your time at Pelican Bay. And what were some of the assignments that you had there?
Well, I started out on B yard on second watch, and actually, I worked second watch the whole time I was there. But I started out as a relief gunner in B6, B7, and B8, and from there, I they gave me a building B8, and I was the officer in B8, and then after that. I had a yard crew for about 3 years. Then I went down to the security housing unit as an S&E, and after that, I was able to get on the security squad, and I worked the security squad, which was their investigative unit, for a little over 7 years until I retired.
Wow. Were you there during the big riot there, Jim?
Oh yeah, from the start to finish,
Mm.
2000. Yeah, that was incredible. And we knew, or we figured there was going to be a riot for probably about a year because there was a disrespect issue that happened about a year prior to this, and it was never resolved. And anyway, I remember that morning really clear because we went out to the yard that was on B yard, and I remember it was probably the largest yard I've ever seen. Usually you don't have that many people or show up, and there was about I'd say around 300 inmates on the yard at the time. Anyway, they found a couple of them that had weapons on them when they were doing the searches, and of course, normally they'd find one or maybe two at the most, but not it. It was a little different that morning. You could just feel the tension, and it was raining, just slightly raining. So my partner and I, we decided to go into a building on B yard and just search a cell, and we went in B. I think it was B6, and we started talking about it, and we thought something's going to happen. And all of a sudden, we heard him yell, "Get down!" And the gunfire started, and we ran downstairs and went out to the rotunda door. and asked the control booth officer to open the door. And when I looked out that door, all I saw was inmates running in every different direction. The whole yard was engulfed in gas. And you could hear the mini 14s going off. I mean, they had already fired rubber bullets, the gas, and they were using the mini 14. And I was thinking to myself, out of all the places I'd like to be on this planet, that yard was probably one of the last places. And he opened the door, and we went out there, and it was nothing like I've ever seen before. It had to be probably at least 100 of the inmates had weapons, and it was pandemonium. And of course, I was concerned, that they might turn on us, but they didn't. But I was more concerned about getting shot because you got to figure they were shooting from all 8 buildings, and the yard gunner was shooting from the tower. And during the riot, I couldn't help notice that several gunmen were running down the roof, and they laid down and they aimed their rifles into the yard. And I don't know if they shot from up there, but that's how serious it was. Anyway, the entire riot lasted about 30 minutes,
Wow,
and it was probably the longest 30 minutes I've ever spent.
I bet. So then, post riot, how was the institution after that?
Remember how long they were on lockdown, but they were on lockdown. And I took almost all the crime scene photos, went to the hospital and took all the photos of the inmates that had been shot and stabbed. And I can't remember how many, but there was a lot of people that were injured. And of course, one inmate died.
Mhm.
But we were on lockdown for quite a while.
Interesting. Interesting. Both of us are aware of a very vicious, brutal homicide that happened at Salinas Valley Prison recently. And I believe the murder count now under the current CDC director is around 100. We worked in a different era when they did use the Mini 14, when there was no doubt about it. When it was time to use it, they used it. What is your opinion of the current situation in the California Department of Corrections?
Disbelief. It's I'm observing this from 8,000 miles away, but and of course I retired at the end of 2005. I'm really surprised that they're not using Pelican Bay for what it was designed for, and I'm also mystified that all the death row inmates were let out of San Quentin, and they're on the general population yards now. And when they came up with the California model, it's like I couldn't believe it, And this is just my opinion. But the California Department of Corrections, they do hire a lot of intelligent people because of the pay, the benefits, and promotional opportunities. But in my opinion, I think somewhere along the line, some people move up through the ranks a little bit too quickly, and they find themselves in Sacramento making really important decisions, and they don't understand what they're doing, and that's just my opinion. So.
And so then, post corrections career, I understand you got back into a little bit of military service. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, when they started sending, when they invaded Iraq and Afghanistan, I started reading about private contractors hiring correctional officers as advisors and trainers, and I really wanted to do that. And the end of 2005, I only had 17 years in the department, but I was able to buy my Marine Corps time, 3 years. So I ended up with 20 years. So I retired. And I told my partners that what I planned on doing was going to Iraq or Afghanistan as a private contractor. And they kind of got a big kick out of that. They said, Jim, you're too old. And I'm not going to take you. And I was actually, I was 63 when I went to Afghanistan, and I had submitted my resume to companies in Iraq and Afghanistan, and one that was working in Afghanistan accepted me, and I had to go through tryout to try out for the position out in Washington D.C. But anyway, it was 3 weeks after I retired. I was on a plane to Kabul, Afghanistan.
Interesting. Interesting. So, Jim, what would you say are some of your biggest accomplishments over your career, your multiple jobs, multiple places you've been at? What are some of the things that stand out most in your mind that you're proud about?
Well, making PFC out of boot camp was one of them, since only 10% could make PFC, and I did that, and I made corporal in less than 2 years, and actually, joining the Marine Corps, that was one of the smartest decisions I've ever made, and one of the dumbest was when I got out. But anyway, um, and then staying alive for 25 years as a structural iron worker, that was quite an accomplishment, because back then they called us cowboys of the sky because we rarely tied off. Today they have harnesses. They anytime you walk the iron, you are tied off, and somehow they figured that out, and good for them. But and then of course, being able to work in Pelican Bay when I did, I thought that was I loved it, and then being able to go to Afghanistan when I was in my 60s. Um, we there was a lot of people that were really surprised. We this base that I worked on, it was a small camp, Dynacore camp, and Blackwater was there. There was a lot of other companies. We had international people there training the Afghans, and a lot of people were surprised. They'd ask me, "How old are you, Jim?" And I'd tell them. They thought, "That's unbelievable." And, anyway, that was quite an accomplishment too.
Yeah, you have a lot to be proud of, most definitely. What would you say are some of your biggest hurdles that you faced over your life and career?
Um, I don't know about hurdles. It's just I don't know how to answer that. I was real persistent. I knew what I wanted. I wanted adventure. I wanted travel, and I just kept trying until I got there. That's all. So I
Well, I
never
get,
gave up.
yeah, I kind of get that. When you told me about the it didn't work out at Las Vegas PD, you didn't let it stop you there. You just moved into corrections, even though maybe you had some doubts about. I know.
Well, there's never been an accurate movie depicting what life is like for an inmate or a correctional officer. So it's mystifying to a lot of people what happens inside prison. And even for us, when we go in there, it takes a while. It takes a couple of years to figure out what's going on in prison, uh, how the criminal ways of the inmates and so forth. And
Is there?
one thing that I did have an opportunity to do while I was on the security squad. They sent me out to the Del Norte Interagency Narcotic Task Force for about a year and a half, and I would work there one and I think sometimes 2 days a week as part of my assignment out of Pelican Bay. So I was serving search warrants out there, and that was really a good experience. And then I worked as a reserve police officer during that same period of time for about 8.5 years with the Brookings Police Department. And the first, let's say, first 3 years, I was in uniform. But after that, once I got on the security squad, the police chief had me go to plain clothes and work with their narcotic detective, Ron Plaster. And that was an incredible experience. And Ron passed away, but he was an incredible narcotic detective to work with. So I got to do a lot of interesting things while I was on the security squad.
It sounds like it. Lots of fun stuff, lots of adventures. So Jim has his own podcast. If you want to hear more about his adventures, he has some really good topics he discusses, corrections, as well as his military career and other subjects. Well, thank you, Jim, for sharing your life with us. Is there anything else you'd like to say before you go?
No, I once I came out of Afghanistan, I moved to Thailand, and I've been here ever since. And I have a nice life here, and I never thought I'd get married again, but I did. And I have a really good wife. And anyway, thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast. And
All right. Well, my pleasure, sir. Thank you for coming on the show. And if you're ever out here in Hawaii, out this way, I know you go all around the world. So yeah, if you're ever out this way, stop on by and man, we'll hook up and talk some more war stories.
right, Gabe, simplify.
All right. Hoorah. All right. Take care, Jim. Bye bye.